Guys, it's Fonzie with DipYourCar.com. This is, again, the Dipping Industry DipCast video podcast, episode number 35. It's Fonzie from Dip Your Car. With me, as always, is Adam, our sound engineer, Dan. It's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't done an episode in what?
3 months.
3 months. And we have reasons for that, thankfully. It hasn't been a laziness thing, obviously. We've been dying to do the DipCast. We've had a lot of people asking us when it's going to come back, and it pulls at the heartstrings a little bit because you want to get back in there. We really enjoy doing this.
Right.
And between the projects that we've had, holidays, babies, weddings, and then I think the biggest piece was relocating the studio into another location. We're not in, I know it looks like the same studio, but we're not in the same studio that we were in before.
Right.
Breaking this all down and getting it set back up, considering we have to hire people to do that, it's not like you can just flip the switch.
Despite having a sound guy, I don't know how useful he is.
Well, a sound engineer only gets you so far.
Right, exactly.
If you need to know how to beat Candy Crush level 96, you can email him. But other than that, we needed a construction.
We knew a good carpenter.
Good one. Now, good guy. Good dude. Now the podcast studio is built into the DYC corporate office, which from our point of view, personally, it's much better because we don't have to finish a work day and then head to another location to film.
Right.
We can actually get this all done. Our offices are right down the hall over there. So with that said, we've had a lot that's taken place. And I think it's fair to say that the environment of our market is not the same as it was 3 months ago.
Absolutely.
A lot has changed.
Last episode we had was literally Let's Talk AutoFlex, which was...
Gloss. Let's Talk AutoFlex Gloss.
And it hadn't even come out yet.
Nobody even knew what it was.
Right.
We didn't even have the information to share with everybody yet,
right,
which was very challenging. I mean, you look at where we were, and from a distance, you notice Velez is using hairspray now, and everything feels different.
I mean, it's
everything. We should get a camera just pointed at his head, because if they understood the wave that was taking place and the symmetry, the appreciation level would be through the roof.
Perfection.
That's a strong word. So I think at this point, it's just one of those things. Now, we did want to unleash a new format, if you will, right?
Right.
And correct me if I'm wrong or elaborate if you want to, but I think what we wanted to do was open the format outside of just specific dip-related issues, current events, and expand it into more of a lifestyle show.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that I've noticed want inside windows into, if you look at that YouTube video that you did, A Day in the Life of Fonzie, people love that stuff. They love the behind-the-scenes kind of thing. We're not dip 24/7. That's a huge part of our lives, but there's other things going on. So I think it's important to, whether it's interests like going to the gym or, supplements or, just random things.
Yeah.
I know Dan's a huge movie guy. I'm a big movie guy. That's why we have Leo up here. So just we have the UFC stuff going on this weekend that I know you're really into, and we kind of all get together for that kind of stuff. So, just touching base on other aspects of our lives.
There's only so much dip stuff you can talk about.
Exactly.
And what we don't want to do is pigeonhole the show into just dip events or dip issues, because yes, we want to touch on technical aspect of it and new products are coming out and how the industry is changing and get people here to do interviews again. We got that whole part of it set up again so we can discuss with them what they're doing and people can learn and grow together. But there's more to it than that.
Right.
And I think a lot of the questions and feedback we got was when we touched on lifestyle issues, they wanted to know more about that. So here's what we'll say. If you're tuning into the show from now moving forward, there may be things that you're interested in. There may be things that you're not. So you can kind of come in and out as you please. But if you want to just hang out with the guys from DYC, I think that is pretty much what the invite is.
Right.
That's more of what the experience is.
Right.
Not that we're that cool to hang out with.
No.
But, I mean, we rarely hang out with ourselves at this point. But I think
that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, UFC and whatnot. But I mean, you work together with people. I mean, there's only so much you can.
Right.
You can do. So from a dipping industry point of view, I guess we might as well touch on that because, again, it's not the same. And a lot of that comes into the introduction of the professional products.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's a line being drawn in the sand, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think there was a struggle for a long time, which is so deserving. Mm-hmm. The struggle was realistic. And what you had is a profile of DIY products where people were trying to perform services using DIY level products and to charge for those services. Mm-hmm. Now, that went well to a degree.
Right.
But as the DIY side of it grew and people became more affluent with the products and more skilled, what you had is a shop down the road which is applying DIY level products for money. And then you had a person who's essentially making a choice. Mm-hmm. Do I want to spend X number of dollars and get my car dipped? Or do I want to bring it to this individual and get my car dipped? The question coming down to what's the difference in end result between the two?
Right. Do the ends justify the means?
Right. Now, of course, you always have those people that simply don't want to do it themselves. Right. There's a lot of them. We get the calls and the emails every single day.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
A lot of them don't want to do it. It's not even fathomable to
right.
me. I'm not spraying my car, painting my car. So those people are always going to look for a professional to get the job done. But then that core group of people who are physically making that determination of, you know what, this guy just quoted me $800. I could do it myself for $450.
Right.
You know what? Maybe I'll just try it. The difference there, that catalyst was the level of products.
Right. Because worst case scenario in that $450 dip job is you peel it off if you don't love it and you try it again and you're not buying the gun again, you're not buying this and that and the other, you're just buying your product.
That was a struggle for the guys that were really trying to make a living with this.
Right.
And we worked for a very long time to put together the right system. Mm-hmm. Not just, this is a fancy gloss I can go over PD or DIY level coatings. A professional system, and it's out there now. It's not teased. It's not pre-ordered. It's out there. It's live.
Right.
It's circulating. And what's the date? It's whatever.
29.
But it's a Monday, right?
Happens once every 4 years.
Oh, weird. Over the past 7 to 10 days, really the last 7 days if we're looking at frequency, more and more and more and more AutoFlex jobs are popping up. Mm-hmm. And the best part about that is twofold. One, the heavy majority of AutoFlex jobs popping up are from professional shops.
Right.
Rarely do you see a DIY guy shoot AutoFlex.
Right.
You got the Darrens of the world, the guy with the Tesla. That's the guy who bought an 80-gallon compressor. That's the guy who bought a SATA jet.
Right.
That's the guy who he did spray it, I believe, in a booth.
Right.
And
although this is a hobby for him, it's something that
he did it the
really
right way.
Serious about.
And you know what? I don't care who you are or what professional level you're at. You can't get upset with a DIY person using a professional product if they're doing it the right way.
Right.
Because not only are they not giving the product a bad name, which is what most people complain about or are worried about, but they're few and far between. Mm-hmm. So the majority of people that have been using the product are using it as professionals.
Right.
And the majority of calls, the majority of communication, whether it be phone, email, chat, whatever it is now coming in, regarding AutoFlex are people that are looking to get it done. Mm-hmm. If we have, and we've been keeping record of all this for this specific reason, most people when inquiring to Dip Your Car as an entity about AutoFlex are asking the question, who can do it for me, not where
right.
can I buy it?
Right. And the people that do call in and say, where can I buy it? We have our technicians and staff well trained to say, okay, here, before we even get into how much product you need, do you have this? Do you have that? And when the answer is no to any of those questions, it's immediate, okay, well, check out the list of authorized applicators and head that direction. Or stick to DIY products. And when you give them that option, people that want AutoFlex. And so they're more geared to go to that that website and find those applicators.
Yeah, and it's refreshing as heck too. When you have a mountain of DIY people out there that got very excited about the way an AutoFlex car looks, because let's be honest, it's very impressive.
Right.
It's actually not only helped us put people in front of professionals that are qualified to spray AutoFlex. To be transparent, AutoFlex has helped us sell more Plasti Dip.
Right.
Because the AutoFlex cars are getting in front of more people,
right,
impressing more people, generating shares and generating that virality. But then when they look at it, they call in and they say, I want to get my car done like that Porsche. I want to do it myself. Well, your team, the customer service team, the wholesale team, they're asking, well, let's start with your qualifications. Are you going to be spraying this in a paint booth? No. What equipment are you going to be using? I got the DYC gun, or I don't have a spray gun. All right, well, let's put the right products in your hands then. Right. And we make an immediate right turn towards Plasti Dip if they're dead set on doing it themselves, instead of putting products into somebody's hands that it's not going to be worth their money because they're not going to get the result they want.
And the way that everything's kind of lined up is I have yet to hear of somebody call in and be pushed towards a DIY product or pushed towards an authorized applicator and kind of fight it. When they hear that feedback of, we kind of use your guidance as our guide of, instead of spending well-earned money and trying to apply a product that you don't have the right equipment for or the right environment for, go somewhere or do it yourself the right way. People appreciate that and appreciate that feedback and would rather do it that way.
And it's funny because if you are a professional listening and you are part of these Facebook groups and communities and forums, you've seen people screaming for a professional separation for so long. And AutoFlex has come in and not taken a DIY product and positioned it for professional use. We're not saying here's a DIY level product that can be used by professionals. Right. We're saying this is a professional level product that shouldn't be used by the DIY. And that essentially spearheads at an authorized AutoFlex applicator. Right. The same general concept as an authorized DYC installer. Essentially, we'd be putting consumers in touch with people qualified to apply the AutoFlex products. But the level for qualification there is drastically different than what you would find yourself trying to reach from a criteria point of view for the DIY level products. Right off the bat, you need a compliant paint booth. There's reasons for that. If you're one of the professional installers who's been crying and screaming about more professional separation and protecting yourself from these DIY level shops, and anyone could become an installer, don't cry and complain when the criteria is now launched for the true professional level coating because you don't meet the criteria. Right. We're putting people in front of qualified installers that are ready to apply the product with as close to perfect results as possible. You should have a paint booth in order to get the closest results possible to perfect. The AutoFlex gloss and the top coats, they're live, they're active, they're essentially drying overnight. Right. You spray that in an open booth, or an open garage. Look at our garage. The first couple cars that we did before we really tweaked the exhaust, before we really cleaned out everything perfectly, even now we'll still get some dust that lands in it. Right. If we're going to be taking you as a consumer and saying go that way, that guy's going to put AutoFlex on your car the right way. Ginny should be in a paint booth. Right. On top of that, and almost as important, if not more, from a manufacturer or even more of a branding point of view, AutoFlex isn't categorized or classified the same as these DIY coatings. You guys need to realize that. So when we're openly, publicly pushing people to referrals, we're saying, you go that way and get it done. You go that way to get it done. If we're pointing you to somebody and that location is not compliant, is not legally applying the products, there's a liability on our end, right? Which is way above and beyond legally what we're looking at for the DIY coatings. It's so much closer from a chemical composition and application point of view to actually auto painting. there has to be a cover your ass level, even
Right.
on our end.
Right.
So believe me, there's reasons why we do everything. If you're that serious about being a professional in this industry, don't cry about not qualifying.
Evolve.
Evolve and elevate yourself to that qualification. Nobody's saying that you can't offer AutoFlex services. No one's saying that you can't qualify for wholesale pricing and get, save some profit there. But you're sure as heck not going to be on the AutoFlex website getting pushed to people or having people pushed to you unless you meet the compliance level for it. There's just no way we can take that chance. And believe me, we spent the time, or our attorneys spent the time looking into all this, so we knew exactly what approach level we had.
Right. I'm really looking forward to some more of these AutoFlex projects that people are doing, because I know that a lot of the projects that we've seen right now have been these crazy color changing hypershift pearls. I'm really looking forward to seeing some of these more OEM factory type colors, or just looking at a car, an old beater that somebody wants, that runs well and wants to give it a new life with a factory or close to a factory color.
My brother's got a 1975 Corvette, original paint, cracks and chips and stuff all over it. Of course, it's however old, 40-year-old paint, 50-year-old paint, whatever it is. And he wants to get it redone, and AutoFlex is perfect for that. Right. Yes, you're going to have to do some correction, on the OEM paint, sanding and making sure that it's prepared. But you can use AutoFlex exactly the same way as you can automotive paint. And there's going to be people that are doing that. It's from a cosmetic point of view, a restoration point of view, and a protection point of view with the spray shield that you can do that.
Right.
Now, turning back, let's take a look really at what's happening on the DIY level, because that is from our point of view, from a tracking point of view, the DIY level has been as strong, if not stronger, than it's ever been.
It's been crazy.
Now, granted, the buzz, of course, is really hitting home with the AutoFlex products, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. That's expected when something new comes out.
Right.
But more people on the DIY side are buying the right products, the PD products, than ever before, and that ties directly into the new website.
Right.
So it's one of those things where we always listen. At the end of the day, this, we just spent 18 minutes talking about AutoFlex, but the foundation, and I've said it 100 times, of our company was built on the DIY market.
Right.
And will continue to be built on the DIY market.
And I think a lot of people saw that wave and were kind of scared of that. Oh my gosh, you're coming out with these products that are so expensive, geared to professionals, things of that nature. And, the hypershift pearls now, and it's kind of like, you don't forget where it all started from. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Yeah, granted, we have more expensive pearls and we have a professional line of coatings, but 90% of that website is DIY products.
Oh, more than that. Yeah, definitely. The website was designed, the new website was designed around the DIY customer.
Right.
Because professionals will find what they need to find regardless.
Right.
The DIY customer is where our passion is.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we started at. We were DIY guys as a beginning. So you see some of the projects people are doing with the DIY stuff now, and it's just as impressive, if not more than ever. People are just knocking these clean jobs out left and right.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think everybody learned to spray out, not down.
Well, that's pretty. We gotta get a T-shirt made with that.
that would be a good one.
Yeah, spray. But we got to figure out. Jared will have to figure out a way to do like a caricature of you doing that.
Okay.
And if you can get the shifty eyes down from that video, it would be perfect.
We have to have the decal actually on the shirt.
Yeah, not a lot of people know that. In that video, if you haven't seen the silver metallizer video yet, watch it after this. You're going to see Adam's first video debut in my garage from back then. So from a showcase shout-out point of view, I wanted to do something a little bit different this time. Instead of us, this episode, because we're coming back, showing you guys the showcase shout-outs, because there's been so much awesome stuff that's done. Let's start fresh. You guys know the hashtag. Right? You guys know the hashtag. I want you guys to throw that hashtag on someone else's project and tag that for us to look at next week.
So
during
almost
Showcase
like
Shoutout.
a nomination.
We want you to nominate. Find something, and it doesn't have to be recent. Find something in the last, how long has it been? A year? 3 months? Something like that?
Since the last episode?
Yeah.
3 months.
3 months. Find something over the last 3 months that's inspired you as a dipper. Don't let it be yours. Don't inspire yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Find something that's inspired you and hashtag that thing with this hashtag. And we'll dive in there and look at it.
I like that. Bringing the community together.
Yes. Now, and then we'll dive through that, and we'll throw some of those up next time, and then we'll move back into the process. Now, covering some of the fun things. Big MMA fight this weekend.
Absolutely.
Massive. And Dan wanted to give his dissertation on how the fight would go down. So hit us with that.
Reverse Kimura for every single one of the fights.
Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz.
Well, why you can't do that fight first? You got to do the co.
The co. Whatever.
Yeah. No.
Holly Holm versus Miesha Tate. I mean, if you're not an MMA fan, you don't know what we're talking about. But I encourage you. You're probably going to watch the Conor McGregor fight anyway, or at least you've heard about it.
Right.
The guy's an animal, or at least a superstar. I don't want him to win, but.
And Holly Holm knocked off probably the biggest superstar in the sport.
I'm glad she needed a reality check for sure.
Right. And I think she's going to dominate Miesha Tate.
So Dan, your predictions for the Miesha Tate and Holly Holm fight?
Versus Kimura.
Who's going to win?
I don't know. I honestly have no idea. I mean, Holly Holm, how about that?
When we hang out together, Dan enjoys the fights, but I don't, I would say Fonzie is probably the top tier of MMA fanhood. I would be below that, and Dan would be below that.
I'd be below 3 guys below that.
And who's going to win the Conor McGregor fight?
I think Conor McGregor.
It's a pretty safe bet. You have any guesses?
I mean, Holly Holm, I think, is going to dominate Miesha Tate. I think she's going to beat her up solid. Miesha Tate's going to try to take her down, but it's just not going to work because she's going to keep her away with her boxing and kickboxing. And I think, unfortunately, Diaz's Nick or Nate is going to actually put up a pretty decent showing. It's got to be better than Jose, but I do think Conor is going to. My whole thing with Conor is the person, a Chad Mendes type, is going to be the first person that beats him. Somebody that tries to take him down, has a full camp under their belt, can grind him out and beat him that way. Because there's no way Conor McGregor was winning that fight if Chad Mendes was on a full camp.
I would have to agree. I think Miesha Tate and Holly Holm is going to go to a decision, and I don't know who's going to win.
That is such a cop-out. I don't know who's going to win.
All right, if I had to guess, it would be Holm because she beat the death out of Ronda Rousey. And I don't think Nate Diaz is, unfortunately. I'm rooting for him. I'll make an announcement on air right now. If Nate Diaz wins, we'll have a sale. A Nate Diaz sale.
Wow.
We'll have a one-day. What is he in? The 209?
His area code?
Yeah. I don't know. He reps something. We will have the day after the Nate Diaz fight, that Sunday, we will have a one-day, 24-hour Nate Diaz sale.
I like how you're calling it a Nate Diaz fight now, not even a Conor
Absolutely.
McGregor fight.
And that's even with the idea that every year we have a spring sale in April.
Mm-hmm.
So double sale. If Nate Diaz wins, we're going to have a Nate Diaz sale the next day and a pizza party in the office to celebrate.
90% of our office is lactose intolerant.
It's cheeseless pizzas all the way around. Or maybe some barbecue ribs or something.
Ooh,
Dan's a big fan of
baby
baby back ribs. And we'll all be rooting for him, and hopefully you guys will too.
Mm-hmm.
So
well,
new hashtag. You want to say it? You want to create a hashtag?
Nate Diaz sale.
Hashtag Nate Diaz sale. If he wins, hold me to it. We're going to do a sale.
Okay.
I don't know what the percentage is yet, but we will do it.
Okay. Back to a little bit more the personal stuff. How many of the movies that were up for Best Picture last night have you seen?
I don't know any of the ones that were up for Best Picture.
So Fonzie is the Dan of movies.
Of movies, absolutely.
Yeah.
And TV shows and anything like that, pretty much.
TV shows, I wouldn't put them down there, I don't think.
I would.
There's certain TV shows that you rip through.
Yeah, I just got into Game of Thrones a little while ago.
And you finished that within a week. You caught up.
Hashtag is Jon Snow dead? and then we'll discuss that on the next podcast.
Sounds good.
Also, let us know if you're watching and you're interested in fitness and supplements, because I've been touching on some new supplements over the past 3 months that I've been very happy with, and I've moved them into my routine. So in the YouTube comments or Facebook, we read all of them anyway. Let us know if you want us to touch on that, because we can definitely throw some new stuff your way as well.
Yeah, and feel free to send me some emails, adam@DipYourCar.com.
Yeah.
With anything that you may want to ask us. Not saying we'll touch on everything every single week, but
we're gonna hit a Q&A, I'm sure, every episode. We just didn't know when we were gonna film this one yet, so we wanted to come off on a clean slate and just have a little bit of fun and chit chat for a little bit. We'll be throwing some of the old stuff in there as well as the games, and we've got to get some people on the phone. I mean, Jeremy's been freaking killing it with a whole bunch of different things. London Fee in Hawaii has been going bananas with a bunch of crazy projects. People love talking to guys like that. You got to get, there's a whole slew of new characters because we haven't talked to you guys in 3 months. So anyway, we're going to wrap it for now. Definitely send Adam as many emails as you possibly can about the most random things you can think of, because he's waiting for you to do that, and he wants to chat with you.
That's what I do. I just sit around all day waiting for you.
That's it, except for that new chat thing on the website has been absolutely blowing.
That's
borderline unmanageable.
That's probably my favorite feature on the new site.
Out of control. We're interviewing full-time people just to make up for the onslaught that's created. Dan, do you want to have any parting words?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Brings so much to the table.
Yeah. Are you good?
I am great.
Okay. DipCast is back. We'll see you on the next one.